Hi guys, Crispin Sandford, third time's a charm. We realised what the problem was. My guest was on portrait instead of landscape, and it was on lock, screen lock. Aha, well we've solved that problem, and it's not going to be a problem now. But remember, when you're doing your Facebook Lives, guys, that you tell your guests to make sure your guests have it on landscape, not portrait. I actually had to change my, there we go. I actually had to change approve when I was making some of my videos. For that very reason, I would be shooting stuff in my car and it would be portrait, and when I put it on YouTube, it would look terrible. Hey, there you are. Finally, we made it. It's so good to see you, Victoria.
Yay! Okay.
We managed it.
Yeah, this is great. Okay, let me just.
Yeah, so these are just some. I was saying to my to the audience that these are just some of the things that
right.
happen. You know, like we work out. It needs to be landscape, not portrait.
Exactly. Yes, it needs to be landscape, not portrait. And I had my screen lock on. So everyone, take your screen lock off if you want to join Crispin. Yeah. Okay.
Right, and I was saying that too. But also, one of my other guests was using their iPad. They had their whole setup with the tripod and the iPad holder, and they couldn't get.
Oh, really?
Because it wouldn't allow the iPad. So don't even feel bad about it. This is one of the reasons why we're a mastermind.
Right.
We can do this stuff in front of each other, work through it, and then know the lesson in the future. That, you know, that's the thing that we've got to do. We've got to have it on portrait. We've got to have it on unlocked screen. Mm-hmm. If we have it on portrait, we need to have it on landscape. It needs to be on an iPhone, not an iPad. Can't be on a computer either. But now we're here. I mentioned to people the happyexecutive.com. I would love them to visit you and learn more about you. But look, tell us, you're an executive coach. We discussed lots of things. I'm so excited to have you here and share what you know. What brought you, I guess, first of all, to KBB?
Well, you know, it was just one of those, I guess I read an email that I was supposed to read from Dean. And that, you know, because it was last minute. I think it was like the day before they were doing the broadcast. And I was like, oh, this sounds, you know, really interesting, because I had just launched another mastermind a couple months ago. And I'm always looking to learn and to up level, you know, myself with, you know, like-minded people. So that's how it all started. And I can tell you that, you know, much like yourself, you know, I felt the shift as I started, you know, getting engaged with these people. And the people in the KBB community are unlike any others that I've ever been associated with.
Isn't it amazing?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it's just the culture.
It's amazing. I love the reciprocity too. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm learning so much. I was talking to one of our members in #KBB Mastermind group just yesterday. We were talking too. And I learned so much from you. I learned so much from her. It's mind-blowing. Right. I mean, I literally am having my mind blown. I'm going through so many changes, so many advances because of this wonderful community and how much we share with each other.
Yes, it's awesome. And I think we're just getting started, you know, because you know, we're learning from each other, like you said, Crispin. And it's, you know, I would just encourage people to, you know, take a step forward every day and don't worry about finishing the course first before you start setting yourself up for success. Because, you know, I was telling you yesterday, I sent out a version of Dean's 9-word email and I had 1,800 open rate. So, and that was the biggest ever. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, it is important for people to get started and get moving. I'm doing the same thing. Like when Dean was talking about telling the different stories and putting together different messages, I'm recording those messages and then uploading them. You know, I'm like, and then I'm on the next. I finished module 1. I'm on module 2, and it's having you right at the beginning. Tell your stories, answer different questions, to handle people's objections, make a video, put it in the queue, post it. Like, I'm doing the work. I've been signing people up and doing classes and getting sales. I'm like, why would I not deliver so I can finish this course? It's like, no, I'm just taking the lessons, applying them, getting the results, and just having my business run and improve as I go. And I have no concern that I'm not finishing the course anytime soon.
Right. And so we're kind of like a work in progress, right, Crispin? That's how I like to.
Absolutely. Well, all of us are, you know, and that's part of the joy of this group is we get to document the journey, document our progress. I know I just added sending invoices from PayPal to my repertoire, you know, it's in finance. But yeah, I made a little video saying this is what I'm doing and here it is. And I mean, I showed it to my clients,
right.
Because I'm documenting the journey and I'm saying, look, you should do this. You know, what areas in your business is something missing that simply you can add a new tool, a new advance to your business.
Right.
I know you were talking about that yesterday to me about helping people with their cash flow.
Right.
You know, sometimes they're running into difficulties with cash flows. I'd love you to talk more about that.
Well, cash flow is one of those things that I really knew nothing about. I mean, you know, as far as like managing household cash flow, that was one thing, Crispin. But
right.
When I was in corporate America working as an executive, that's really not something. I didn't have those responsibilities. I was managing teams. And then when I went out on my own in the entrepreneurial world, you know, that's when I really learned what cash flow meant. And the fact that it's something that you need to do every day. So I learned that, you know, I needed to check my bank balances multiple times a day so that I was able to, you know, stay on track with everything. And also make sure, because there's such a high rate of fraud. You know, I mean, it's happened to me, you know, you're out or someone scans your card, whatever the case is. So the sooner that you can get that, you know, and know that that's not legitimate response, then it can, you know, it can really make things a little easier. Because I had a situation with cash flow where I had payroll coming up the following day. And I was in the city in Chicago, someone must have scanned my card. And so then I noticed that there was a payment to Citibank, which I don't even have a Citibank account. And so that really, you know, luckily I caught it quickly and I was able to report the fraud. But, you know, it happens. And there's, you know, you can't let it trip you up. You just have to figure out a way around it.
It's true. I mean, my wife and I had that experience. I don't know if it was our business Citi card. But yeah, whatever it was, I remember that because she handles our finances and our cars and payments, and which I'm happy to admit.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, I don't problem admitting that she's the finance chief,
yes,
treasury executive,
CFO
right?
of the household.
CFO,
yes.
Right? Yeah, and I noticed she's always checking, and she captured a few things. She's like, "What's this?" She asked me. I'm like, "I don't know what that is." We contacted the bank. They held the card, and we just nipped it right in the bud. But those things can go out of control. But we're also reviewing the names of things. Like we just look out. I mean, I do too. We'll look through and go, "I don't know what that is," or "I know what that is." Yes, yes, yes. What is that? Oh, it's that. It's very important to do that. But particularly when you're a bit in the business,
right?
You know, there are times when you're in season, right? And there's demand, and you need to get materials and meet that demand. And if you've got fraudulent transactions, or if you're not monitoring your cash flow, then you might hit a roadblock. You might not be able to get the materials you need to get the production you need and get the products made, the resources to do that, and then deliver on important orders. So, you know, that's just one of the things that can trip up an executive. I know another thing we talked about when it comes to executive coaching is how executives need help with personnel and their teams, and how teams need help to ensure that the organization is running, that the communication exists, and that you're getting the best out of your employees. And also the executive isn't tripping himself up, because there's that quote of Steve Jobs, which I love, where he said, you know, we look for the best at Apple. We look for the very best. And when you're hiring the best, why in the hell would you tell them what to do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they know what
Mm-hmm.
to do. That's why you hired them. They're innovative, creative. Let them do their thing. Obviously oversee, you know, what they're doing and make sure that they're on track. But, you know, I'd love you to speak to that a little bit, you know, because that's part of your wheelhouse.
Well, it is. And especially when I work with technology executives, one of the biggest complaints that I get from them is the fact that they say, you know, I'm just not getting enough out of my team. You know, they're not overperforming, they're barely, you know, reaching what the goals are. And so that is a sign of needing more team engagement, you know, more awareness, more relationship management. And the good news is with that, like we talked about yesterday, Crispin, is unlike IQ, EQ can be worked on, you know, as soon as today. You know, you know,
Right.
can give my executives easy strategies that they can implement to improve the EQ, you know, of their environment. And, you know, that leads to more positive outcomes. It leads to, you know, better team engagement. And to your point, you know, these executives that have the technology teams, you know, these technology members, they know what to do. You know, some of them have 25, 26 technical certifications. So what
Right.
needs to happen is the EQ quotient needs to be raised a bit so that, you know, people are more self-aware of, you know, for them, obviously of themselves, but then also being more aware of, you know, others, like what's motivating them. Because, you know, if just because, you know, a hefty bonus would motivate one of the team members, another team member may not be motivated by that. So one of the things we
Right.
do is really get a clear vision. And through that clarity, then we're able to help the team, you know, get to the next level, step by step.
Fantastic. Yeah. And it's important to remember that, you know, sometimes people will hire something or buy something and consider it done
Right,
or
right.
handled. Or they bought it, they didn't actually implement it, and well, they bought it, you know, and it never happened. And you're like, look, not only do you need to buy it, but you need to implement it. Not only do you need to implement it, but you need to keep
Mm-hmm.
implementing it. I know one of the, but also, it's like working with you. An executive needs to know that and be reminded. Look, this person was motivated by a bonus, right? Things have changed, things have advanced. Maybe their wife is now, uh, you know, back into the workplace or out of the
Mm-hmm.
workplace, or the children have left the home.
Right.
You know, so now they've got a different motivation. Maybe they're looking at legacy. So one day they were moved by a bonus. Now they're moved by a promotion. You know, and the promotion might not even need to include a bonus.
Right.
Like the title or being a speaker. You know, saying, look, I really want to get this team in place and your division running smoothly by the end of the year, because I want to move you out. I want you going around to the different divisions, the different organizations, and speaking and engaging all of the different regions, because you've done such a good job making this a flourishing division. I want you to turn it over and start making all of the regions. When we're talking the big scale,
but you know, it's
right? But you know, it's important to know
it's
what
important
motivates
to know what
people,
motivates
and
people,
it changes
and it
through the year.
changes through the year.
Well, that's right. It does. It does change through the years. And then, you know, again, is motivating them, what's changed in their lives. You know, that's really what's going to take them to the next level. And I feel so many times, and tell me if you can relate to this, Crispin, because I feel so many times, you know, people are worried about, you know, the you know, well, what if this happens or what if that happens? And you know, the thing is, like, I try to, you know, what we do is really focus on, you know, what's the best next step. and then focus on all the tasks that you need to complete in that step before you get too far ahead of yourself, right? I mean, because you
Right.
get all
Right.
tripped up in that. And, because I feel like when we focus on, just maximizing that next best step, then we're able to deal with the little hurdles that come up more, more thoroughly, because we're not missing the cues. Because so many times we're not in that now moment. And that's one of the things that I learned, again, from my launching into my entrepreneurial world. Because I, had grown up and I was always very goal oriented, and I was always, okay, what's next? Okay, I did this, what's next? And I learned that I wasn't going to get to where I needed to be by the what's next. So I changed my perception to what's now. So I love to hear
Right.
if,
Right.
if you can relate to that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I get grand visions
Mm-hmm.
and these wonderful ideas about what I'm going to do. But also, I know I have to complete tasks right now. Be able to send people invoices.
Right.
Uh, that was something I need to do now.
Right.
So that's what I worked on, and got it done, and then move on. Continue to build the future, but also do what needs to be done now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very important.
Yeah, I know. Also, a thing that's important to people, and something we talked about yesterday, was being able to get to the next level. I mean, we do talk about doing stuff now. But when we talk about a destination location and delivering what people need in each area of business, can you talk about keeping an executive's focus on getting each of the different areas operating, and not just focusing on one area?
Yes. And, that's really a key success factor to, being an entrepreneur. And obviously, you have to, the first step is, taking 100% responsibility. That's something that we all talk about. I believe in that. I learned that from my mentor, Jack Canfield. And I teach that to a lot of youth that I speak with. But everybody can learn it, because quite frankly, it's like, if the youth learns that, it doesn't really help if their parents don't enforce it, or the people that are role models with them, right? So it's best if everybody buys into that. But as an entrepreneur or as a business owner, it's really imperative that you have those 7 areas of focus, like you said, that is definitely within and within your reach. And what I mean by that is, even if you are not, even if you're lucky enough or fortunate enough to delegate some of those. I wasn't when I started my healthcare business. The first 2 years, I did all the admin work, all the marketing. I did have employees, like I said, that administered the care. However, I, was the main person for all of that. But if you are fortunate enough to get other people involved, and you have those stakeholders, then you just need to make sure that you're getting the reports, that you don't take your finger, off the catalyst that can really send your business in an upward mode, or unfortunately a declining mode. And it's not uncommon for businesses to have peaks and valleys, like especially in my business in healthcare, kind of like seasonal, because our clients, our patients, they would pass away. Obviously they didn't leave us unless they were passing away, which was very sad. For our team, we would be attached to them. And so they would either get better, which is a great news, and they didn't need us, or they would pass away. Well, their passing away also would leave a gap in our cash flow, because we would obviously not have that cash flow from that family. And, you know, if that sounds cold-hearted, it's certainly, I'm not cold-hearted. However, from a business standpoint, you know, you need to be able to fill that, because that also means that the staff members that were assigned to that, you know, don't have a position to go to, you know, at the exact moment, which means they're not earning money. So.
Yeah, that's one of the important things to remember, is balancing your job, overseeing, predicting, doing the work necessary in promotion to be sure that that need can be fulfilled by your staff and by your organization with somebody to serve.
Right, exactly. And then, you know, one of the other things we talked about is, you know, you know, one of the things I learned as a child, I still practice today. But a lot of things that I learned as a child, I've let go because they don't apply to real life, right? But the one thing I've kept is the fact that, you know, we're only as strong as our weakest link. So if you have an employee, or you have, you know, a board member, you know, that's not carrying their weight, that's not, you know, responding, not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they need to get out. And, you know, as the owner, we need to be the ones that enforce that. Because I talk to a lot of people on a regular basis, whether they're my clients or not. And, you know, I hear them say, well, you know, I hired a friend of mine. This actually just happened last week. I hired a friend of mine. You know, we went to college together, and, you know, he's really not doing the top quality video that I wanted. And so, you know, he was looking for some strategies on what to do. And, you know, I gave him some recommendations. I said, you don't even have to have, you know, just tell him you're bringing in other people, you know, because he was the guy that he had was a 1099. So he wasn't going to be, you know, susceptible to employment law. But I just recommended he bring in other people. And then, you know, that didn't close the door permanently, because if his friend was going to step it up, or, you know, decided he wanted more work, then, you know, the door wouldn't be closed permanently, but it wasn't going to be impeding his progress forward.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes as executives, we take on the whole load. My mother was a workaholic, and even when she was hired, she was on Royal Society of Arts and the Shropshire, you know, Rotary, doing all sorts of things, busier, hard than when she worked. But sometimes you have to know that the whole team needs the load.
Right.
They need to do their part. And if you can't train them to advance, then you have to replace them with somebody who can take the load.
Yep, that's so true. And you know, so many times, you know, it's an emotional thing sometimes, obviously, because, you know, people feel like, oh, you know, especially if it's a friend, or, you know, oh, I don't want to hurt, well, what's going to happen, you know, with their, so there are all kinds of ways that you can work through with progressive discipline. But the bottom line is, if you are not mindful of what you are working toward, then, like we've all heard that quote about, you're either working and accomplishing your goals, or you're working on someone else's, right? Well, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
If you are not, focusing on what it is that you're working toward, then, these other people, these temptations, these, things that get in the way are going to impede your progress and, quite frankly, slow the momentum, which, we all know businesses are built on momentum. And, if we have a weak link in there, it's going to slow our momentum and could be devastating, could be the end of your business.
It's true. So on that note, I don't want to keep too long. I know we can talk for forever. Yeah, I want you guys to look within our group, look within the larger group, the main group. Look to the different mastermind guests we have, like Victoria, and see where in your organization you could benefit from some of the tools our members have. Utilize the mastermind group for resources. Sign up for their class, sign up for their training, read their blog, listen to their videos, and share videos, share insights, and encourage other people within this group, within hashtag AB Mastermind Group, the things that you need. So thank you so much for attending, Victoria. I really appreciate it. I think we got a little echo there when we changed the headset, but that's okay. Not to worry, not to worry. This is what happens when you're speaking on stage at one of our events. We'll make sure there's no echo.
We'll have that all down and perfect it. Yes.
Right. All right, fantastic, Victoria. Thank you so much for coming and attending and providing all of that value and all that insight. And I look forward to talking to you again, to seeing you speak from the stage. And also, guys, remember, we're making our reality a dream and our dream a reality.
Sounds good.
Bye now.
Bye, Crispin. Thank you.